I think everyone knows the gist of the story. Asta is a peasant that was born with no magic in a world where magic is everything. Despite this crippling disability, Asta trained his body physically so that one day when his magic finally awoke, he'd be strong enough to wield it. Instead, Asta would be chosen by a 5-leaf clover grimoire, which contained a devil that channeled anti-magic power into swords. Because of both the nature and the weight of the sword, nobody with magic can normally wield them. But due to Asta's daily bouts of physical training, his muscles were strong enough to not only carry the sword, but mighty enough to fight with it. Eventually we find out that these swords are so heavy that mages using a supernatural form of energy, mana, to produce magic that enhances their physical capabilities to superhuman levels, and these superhumans find the sword too heavy to wield even with both hands. It makes you question how strong is Asta even back in chapter 1, but a more encapsulating question would be, how much can Asta lift? Bro. So I've done 2 videos in my Asta power scaling series, one on his attack potency and another on his speed. My video on his abilities is on hold until Asta masters his Zeton. When I was streaming the other day, someone recommended I add another to the series, how much can Asta lift? While lifting strength is generally not very important in versus battles, knowing how strong his muscles are can actually still be relevant depending on the situation that character is in a versus battle. Say there is a large door that needs to be lifted up to pass through a dungeon or something, could Asta lift that door? Even though in normal fights people are punching or kicking or even launching beams of energy at the other, punching and kicking are more so force or energy or, like I said, attack potency or striking strength, not necessarily lifting strength. But there are ways in combat where lifting strength is far more important to decide who wins. That would be any form of wrestling or grappling. Lifting strength is far more important than attack potency. Having high levels of lifting strength can be very useful in fights against gravity users as well, or characters who can create or take heavy objects and drop them on other characters. Lifting strength would be very important to be able to lift those objects or to fight through the gravity that increases the weight of your body. So while lifting strength is generally not the most important aspect in most versus battles, there are instances where it can be very useful. So I'm going to be analyzing Asta's strength feats to determine how much our little Chadsta can lift. Obviously, we can start with analyzing Asta's feat in chapter 1, where he displayed 1,000 reps of one-armed handstand push-ups. Now people will start with this to calculate Asta's physical strength to be well beyond superhuman levels. There are these things called 1 rep max strength charts or calculators where you put in the weight that you lifted and the repetitions that you did, and it will calculate how much your 1 rep max would be. I've seen people plug in Asta's estimated weight and reps and then slap Asta with higher levels of superhuman strength. Now I looked through several charts and Asta quite literally breaks these charts as most don't go past 100 reps. This one I found will calculate 500 reps. That is the most. It cannot even go to 1,000 like I need. So we can't even fully calculate Asta's strength based on those calculators. Now the average weight for a 5-foot tall male, because that's how tall Asta is 95 to 115 pounds, though Asta would be considerably heavier via his dense musculature, so we should be able to get him up to 130 pounds. Seeing as a one-arm handstand push-up lifts the entire body weight, Asta is essentially lifting around 130 pounds in a compromising position for one arm. But what if I told you this actually is not superhuman strength? Because it actually isn't. Technically, this is a superhuman feat, because nobody has ever done one single rep of a one-arm handstand push-up. You might be asking, Broku, if Asta has done something that nobody can do in our real world, how is it not superhuman strength? Well, that's because the one-arm handstand push-up is not only a lifting strength feat, it is also a core strength and balance feat. Most people cannot do this because the strength of this feat is relative to your height, weight, your core strength, your balance, and your lifting strength. The physique that advantages this exercise is being short and being strong for your weight, which we know that both Asta is. Being short is an advantage because it'd be easier to be balanced as you are more condensed, and your arm will likely be shorter, which means there are less range of motion on the repetition, making the rep technically easier. The reason why Asta can do this is because of his advantages for the exercise. So if you removed Asta's physical strength and gave him the strength of our average Olympic level lifter, Asta would still be able to do the one-arm handstand push-up, which means this is not a superhuman strength lifting feat. Because, for example, it really is him only lifting 130 pounds, because that's how much he weighs, which is nothing in comparison to what humans can do in our real world. The main issue with this is the balance aspect. This leads back to the chart, though. If Asta can do 1,000 repetitions, then we can gauge a lifting strength, right? Well, let's try it out. 130 pounds for 500 reps, because that's the highest repetition I can find in the chart. Then we get a lowball of Asta's 1 rep max to be over 2,000 pounds per arm. Now, handstand push-up is a similar motion to the shoulder press, and the shoulder press is technically far easier because it's seated and is easier against gravity and focuses way less on core strength and balance. The world record shoulder press with both arms is 542 pounds. So, according to this chart, Asta can do a harder lift on one arm for over 4 times the weight. So, yes, Asta does have superhuman strength, right? Well, it's actually not that simple. These charts are designed for gauging low rep ranges. Reps of 2 to 10 will be way more accurate at predicting a 1 rep max. Anything beyond 10, the less accurate it gets. And we're talking 1,000 reps here, 2 orders of magnitude above what the chart is meant to actually calculate. Meaning there's no reason to assume this chart is accurate at all. But not only that, lifting any weight for more than 1 repetition brings in an entirely new concept. It's not lifting strength anymore when you go beyond 1 rep. It's a mixture of lifting strength and muscular endurance, or stamina, as some people call it. The issue with this feat is we know that Asta has superhuman levels of endurance. Asta can perform at peak performance for long periods of time. This is shown in many of his fights. If Asta's physical stamina is superhuman, then it makes the use of this chart even less logically sound. This is because these charts were made to gauge the muscular endurance of the average range of what humans have. To give an example of what breaks this chart, if someone were to have infinite muscular endurance, that means they could take their 1 rep max weight and lift it an infinite amount of times. And I mean, like, each time they struggle to barely even lift the weight, but they can still repeat that an infinite amount of times. Let's say they lift 300 pounds an infinite amount of times. According to the chart, they would have infinite strength, right? But that's not true, because if 300 pounds is their max and they just have infinite stamina, that means they would still fail to lift even 301 pounds, and the chart would therefore be incorrect. Let me provide a real-world example. Let's say that I can bench press 400 pounds for 1 rep, like I used to be able to do. And let's say my boy Jack can lift 300 pounds. I'm stronger than Jack, according to those weights. But let's say we can do a competition of who can do the most reps at 185 pounds. Strength will play a factor in this because I'm stronger than Jack. Each rep of 185 pounds will take less from my muscular endurance. But Jack can offset that by having overall better muscular endurance. Let's say Jack has a stamina pool of 60, and each rep of 185 pounds takes 3 stamina away from him. Now, I'm stronger than Jack, so I only lose 2 stamina per rep, but my stamina pool is only at 35. This means that Jack can do 20 reps at 185 pounds, but I can only do 17 to 18 reps at 185 pounds. Would you say that Jack is stronger than me, even though my 1 rep max is 100 pounds heavier than his? No. You would say that I'm stronger than Jack, but he has way greater relative stamina or endurance than I do. So, because a single rep of Asta's handstand push-up itself is not superhuman in terms of lifting strength, and we already know that he has superhuman endurance, this feat can actually not be used at all to calculate his overall lifting strength to be superhuman. Which is unfortunate because this is something that I've used to hype up early series Asta's physical strength, and something that I see a lot of people do. Luckily, Asta still has a superhuman lifting strength feat in Chapter 1 that is actually way better than the handstand push-ups anyways, and that's just literally wielding the Demon Slayer sword. We can actually calculate a lowball weight of the sword by using later parts of the series for context. We can thank Veto for giving us a way to estimate this, as Veto can easily throw a boulder at Asta, but later on, Veto would need to struggle and use reinforcement magic to pull out the Demon Dweller sword from his body. What we can say is that the Demon Dweller sword weighs more than this boulder. People may question this by saying that Veto was low on magic power because he had gotten stabbed by Asta's Demon Dweller sword that absorbed his magic. The issue with this is that Veto performed the boulder feat in his base form. The Demon Dweller is absorbing Veto's much stronger Third Eye activated power, and there was no reason to assume that Third Eye Veto lost enough magic power to become weaker than his base self. Thus, this feat should still stand. This boulder has been calculated by Clover Dragon to be at the weight of over 115,000 kilograms. Which is well over 230,000 pounds, and that's over 100 tons. Asta can not only wield the Demon Dweller sword in one hand with ease, but can also wield the far heavier Demon Slayer sword in the other hand at the same time, putting Asta's double arm lifting strength at well over 200 tons early in the series. And that means that Asta in Chapter 1 casually wields a sword that weighs well over 100 tons. Definitely over superhuman strength, and is classified as Class K lifting strength. Class K encompasses the largest animals in the world and goes up to the largest aircraft in the world. There are a couple of feats in the Spade Saga that are impressive as well. Both these calculations are done by Epsilon R. Dante can lift several of these massive boulders at once, which has been calculated to be over 57 billion kilograms or 62 million tons. Since Asta can not only withstand that gravity, but wield his sword in that gravity, it would also put his lifting strength in that tier, which is Class G, and that's greater than the entire weight of the global population combined into one. This is wild considering Berserk Asta and 60% Dante quickly become outclassed as relevant fighters by the power levels of other characters. Like, if this is what 60% Dante can do with his gravity, imagine full 50% power Lucifero. Later on, Asta would fight the fused twin devil Nalith. Nalith would create a massive spell called Freezing Sun. Assuming that the spell was half made of ice and fire, and gauging its size to be over 3.7 kilometers in size, it would weigh over 25 trillion kilograms, or over 27.5 billion tons. Yet Asta actually used his strength to deflect its force. Gauging the speed of the Freezing Sun and Asta's swing, it equates to 16 quadrillion kilograms. This is a Class P feat, which equates to the mass of small moons, or large asteroids. There is a similar feat that you can gather just based on the sheer size of Demon Licht. The Spade Demons are at least relative in size to him, and they've been calculated by demon god Mitch Aubin to be over 100 kilometers in height, and using the average density of a human, have been calculated to be 2.9 quadrillion kilograms in weight. Even the average person can lift their own body weight with 2 arms. Demon Licht has 4 arms, and Lumiere in the anime was able to create a magical spell that was strong enough to bind Licht's arms together, and he could not break out of it. If we double Demon Licht's lifting strength to having 4 arms, this is 5.8 quadrillion kilograms of force that Lumiere is binding. This wouldn't even account for the magic power that Demon Licht's muscles would be reinforced by, so it is actually possible that this feat is way superior to Nalith's, which would upscale the verse, seeing as Asta would have way higher lifting strength than Lumiere, and Lumiere also scales below Zagreid at this point, whereas Asta's base in the Spade Saga blows past Zagreid. But I'm just going to upscale the other feat because it's in the manga, and that feat from Lumiere is in the anime, and it's also going to take way less time and use way less multipliers to stack it with. I don't think that just because something is in the anime and not in the manga that it's wrong. I still think that Lumiere binding Licht would be a fine feat to use. It is a manga fight being adapted, and the anime does expand on the fight. Like in the manga, we never see Lumiere get hit, but he is somehow nearly dying from his wounds, and the anime actually shows the hits that he took. The manga doesn't. Regardless, if anyone wants to upscale Black Clover's lifting strength by stacking multipliers on top of Lumiere's feat, please post it in either my Discord or in the comments. I'd love to see the lifting strength number that you get. But first, today's video is sponsored by me and you, and that is the members of this channel. If you want to become a member of the channel, you get access to a bunch of cool different emotes and other rewards, but I want to tell you guys that the biggest thing I am doing now is that for all members, you'll be getting a exclusive member video every single week. If you become a Brigade Captain member, you'll get an extra video per month on top of those one video every single week. And all Wizard King level members will be getting 2 exclusive member videos per week. That is 8 to 9 videos per month at $15 a month, which is less than $2 a video. And that is also on top of other rewards, like you'll be getting access to the Wizard King Roundtable, which is a discussion I'll have with all of you guys every single month. So if you guys really want to help support the channel and you also want extra videos on the side besides my video projects I'm currently doing, then please become a member. You will get a lot of extra videos as well as helping support the channel. All members will be getting, will there be a new stage beyond Saint Stage or Arcane Stage? And Wizard King members will be getting, does the power of the Land of the Sun make sense? But first, I should probably explain why Asta's strength can and will depend on how much anti-magic energy he uses. It's just blatantly stated in the guidebook and even parts of the anime that the anti-magic augments Asta's physical strength. It makes sense because Gaja says that anti-magic works very similar to mana, and mana does the same thing. Characters use their magic power to become physically stronger, and there's evidence that it would be connected linearly, like a 2 times increase in anti-magic or magic power would lead to a 2 times lifting strength boost, as it's shown that mana gives 1-to-1 boosts for attack potency, durability, and speed, as when Zora doubles magic with his traps, it doubles their speed and power, and it even applies to magically reinforced physical attacks, as his magic reinforced punch could clash with Lucifero. But also, when Magna equalized his power with Dante, it essentially amplified Magna's magic power 250 times and halved Dante's power. They were equal in pretty much every way: speed, attack potency, durability, etc. Remember that their durability and striking strength was based on their magic power paired with their physical strength. Since there is a lot of evidence that lifting strength should scale because of all the other physical properties doing so, and anti-magic is stated to be very similar to mana, then it should be the same thing for Asta. If his anti-magic got 2 times stronger, his lifting strength would be 2 times stronger. If you disagree with this, then fine. Then in your eyes, as of right now, Asta's best lifting strength feat scales to what's already been shown in this video. But I'm going to upscale his current strength by starting with the 16 quadrillion kilogram freezing sun feat. Asta's Devil Union scales to this lifting feat, but Asta's base surpasses his Devil Union just chapters later. Now I know a lot of people say this is crazy, but it is supported by many feats. Asta in his base scales above Devil Lolopechka's exploding life, since he moved faster than the rate of the explosion, survived the energy produced by the explosion, and negated the explosion with his power. Devil Lolopechka's exploding life scales above her base power, and Devil Lolo scales above Cursed Lolo. Cursed Lolo, who could destroy a conjoined spell from Charlotte and Rill, who both could survive an elongated fight with 100% Vanica. 100% Vanica is stated to be near a Supreme Devil level in power, and the weakest Supreme Devils are Lilith and Nama, who Asta had to fight. So base Asta shows equal feats to Devil Union Asta, and there are many other instances in the series where Asta gets really strong, really fast. This is because he has a 5th leaf Clover. The 4th leaf in the lore of Black Clover promotes rapid power growth, and Asta has Liebe, and Liebe resonates with other devils and it makes him stronger. This is shown another time in the same saga, when Asta goes from struggling to withstand Lucifero's gravity from a far distance, to walking through a stronger Lucifero's gravity at a much closer range, further increasing its potency, while not at his full endurance because Asta was not fully healed by Mimosa. So that shows a massive increase in just a handful of chapters. With that being said, I will go over the multiplier for Devil Union and stack that on top of this feat to give Asta's current lifting strength. Now, I discussed the multiplier in these 2 videos in the past. It will be slightly different in this video, as in those videos I used a 4 times multiplier for Mana Zone and the Spear Dive multipliers, but those were based off mistranslations, so the more supported way to do this is based it off of a 2 times multiplier. So watch those videos if you want to know how I gauge the multiplier, but it's too much to go over every step in this video. But we can get Asta's Black form to Black Divider to a 16 times multiplier on top of his base, and then Berserk Asta is 60 times stronger than Black Divider Asta because he went from getting bodied by base Dante to fighting better against a 60% Devil Power Dante. And we can quantify that to be a greater than 60 times multiplier. This means that Berserk Asta is a 960 times multiplier on top of his base, and Berserk is weaker than Devil Union. So we know that Devil Union is way stronger than Berserk Asta, but I'm going to give it a minor 4% increase to make the numbers look a bit prettier and put Devil Union at just at least a 1000 multiplier on top of his base. And partial Devil Union Asta in the current saga is even stronger than Devil Union Asta back in the Spade saga, based off of feats and based off of Asta's own statement where he said he's stronger than when he last fought Lucifero. And this leaves out Zeton, which is a 40 times multiplier. Asta uses his life energy or ki and turns that into a 40 times multiplier in his anti-magic power. Sure, Viz said 100 times is the multiplier for Zeton, but the Raws of the actual Japanese kanji says many tens of times. Many definitionally means at least 4, so that's 40 times. This means that if Asta did an explosive lifting feat with partial Devil Union and Zeton, he would be well over 40,000 times stronger than what he did with the Freezing Sun feat. This puts Asta at 640 quintillion kilograms of lifting strength, or 640 quadrillion metric tons of lifting strength. This puts Asta's lifting strength in Class E, which is the weight of the atmosphere of the Earth, and nearing the weight of actual moons or even small planets. So yeah, Asta's lifting strength is probably way more impressive than you thought. Like, the ability to lift moons is actually pretty insane. considering we're not even close to the end of Black Clover. I mean, we're in the final part, but this is going to be a long saga, guys. So yeah, if you ever need to know how much Asta can lift, watch this video, and if Asta ever needs to do a wrestling match or a grappling match, take this. Take his lifting strength feats, because that's going to actually be important, because if there's somebody who is a wrestler and has decent durability, and they actually have enough speed to fight Asta, Asta's going to really need lifting strength in that fight. So yeah, there you go, guys. Please leave a like if you did enjoy this video, comment down your thoughts, and subscribe and turn on notifications, and also become a member if you want to help support the channel. And join my Discord and follow me on Twitter down below, and links to the calculations will be linked down below as well. Thank you guys so much for support, and hope you guys all have an amazing day. Peace out.